Heroes you know you didn't know were heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school. That veteran can be absolutely anyone, a teacher, custodian, coach, cafeteria worker, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Waive Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send your entry or inquiry to stootsforboots@gmail.com. That is STOOTSFORBOOTS@gmail.com. Now, we will turn it over to our host, civilian urban educator Carl Boyd.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It is 1:03 p.m. on Saturday, March 16th, 2024 in Kansas City, Missouri. A very thankful community. I am Carl Boyd, civilian host of this Waive Your Grades weekly appeal to America's students to strive for excellence in honor of our troops on KUAW, Kansas City's global community radio. And yes, we are a thankful KC global community. I must be quite sober as I assert that we are somehow thankful even as we continue to pay tribute to lives lost during a Super Bowl celebration and later in the line of duty of two authentic heroes. Why are we thankful? Why am I thankful? Please allow this title for today's Waive Your Grades program. God's timing is always worth the wait. God's timing is always worth the wait. For this thankful message, sincerely saying thank you to Lisa Lopez Galvin, Cody Allen, and Drexel Mack. I am using that title advisedly. Again, God's timing is always worth the wait. I invite you to spell the word with me. Wait. WEIGHT. God's timing is always worth the wait, even when weight means heaviness, sorrow, a burden. Yes, even as Kansas City carries the weight of remembering three who have fallen, God will not let us forget the unifying force of three diverse backgrounds, bringing cooperative efforts to the foreground, replacing separateness with togetherness, replacing violence with peace, replacing hatred with love. Now, therefore, please understand when I suggest and believe God's timing is always worth the wait, being proven now each day with efforts to support the families of Mrs. Lopez Galvin, Mr. Cody Allen, and Mr. Drexel Mack. Here, as I explained through the use of three tributes God has allowed me to write, let me make this very important disclaimer. I pray that by the time I have finished, you will know that we here at KUAW Radio, are quite serious when we say, neither I, Carl Boyd, nor this station or any of its personnel at KUAW can accept any donations, monetary or material, motivated by these remarks. Certainly you may not be so motivated, but seriously, if you should be, I repeat, neither I, Carl Boyd, nor this station or any of its personnel at KUAW can accept any donations, monetary or material, motivated by these remarks. please be careful to check the legitimacy of fundraisers for victims' families and sincere as well as legal organizations working to bring us together to end the violence, indeed to save lives. A major thank you to the Kansas City Chiefs for guiding collective efforts. Now, as I offer my 3 tributes in behalf of the myriad supporters of these 3 victims who are more victorious each day, let me speak to that part of today's program title that does speak to God's timing. America is in too many ways in turmoil. Too much of the violence we witness is born out of cultural misunderstanding, sometimes understanding differences and using that understanding to pull apart for purposes of partisan power rather than to bring us together. Thanks be to God for timing our unity in behalf of these 3 diverse unifiers, such that entire cities are paying cooperative tribute without regard to race, color, gender, national origin, or neighborhood, not only to these 3 who have brought us together, but now revealing their tributes to be, not by coincidence, but by God's providence, symbols of sticking together to promote peace from the neighborhood to the nation. Before I offer what I was inspired to present, one offering after the Super Bowl incident, 2 that I had presented before, let me say that we must not forget the 22 victims who were not killed but who deserve our attention and assistance, as their courage helps us to deal with what they are going through as much as we want it to help them. I introduce my writing certainly in behalf of the Lisa Lopez Galvin family, and also with thanks to the Common Good Movement. Let me say that again, with thanks to the KC Common Good Movement, who allowed me to recite the following words, as did our Shepherds Helping Shepherds Fellowship multi-faith organization. I was surprised and pleased that Liz Montijo of Kansas City's Fox News gave the presentation serious visibility. Again, my title for these February 19th remarks, From the Super Bowl to One Super Bowl. These are those words that I did read, and I repeat. From the Super Bowl to one super soul, our nation united by grief, even championship dreams of classy teams awakened as one for relief. From the Super Bowl to one super soul, not playing but praying together. When tragedy struck, the whole league stepped up, determined to make our world better. Our celebration became devastation, an innocent victim deceased, but the more we heard discouraging words, the more our unity increased. Remember the name Lisa Lopez Galvin, who lived to make all of us smile. The least we can do is take a step or two. For us, Lisa's smile walked miles. There were families attending, no thoughts of impending life-threatening or life-taking danger, but the insanity of violence vanity gave way to unnecessary anger. This wonderful event worldwide was not meant to focus on mental health problems, but for an all-wise God, it would not be odd to use now and use us to solve them. From the Super Bowl to that Super Soul, helping those of us who yet live to share the real truth to vulnerable youth. Now, is that too much to give? My real truth is I need them. Though I know I don't feed them all the love and support that I should. By myself, I can't fix me, but joining 360 unites all of our common good. So, coaches and players, we share your prayers as you seek unified peace, along with celebrities beyond the festivities working to make violence cease. We applaud you more offstage for turning the page from the bowl or the gold in your hands to what's in your hearts, not playing parts, but sincerely doing all that you can. My personal stand: remove guns from the hands and the heads of immature users. Let us invest in our children's success while they're young and know they're not losers. And let's not forget those serving and vets. Dangerous places, performing great feats. We can't let them come home in groups or alone to even more dangerous streets. From the Super Bowl to one Super Soul, one way that we teach children peace is to show sports opponents in after-game moments shaking hands after one team's defeat. Thank you, KC Chiefs. Celebration too brief for your exemplary, inclusive imprint, molding the majestic multicultural mosaic that could make America magnificent. That could if we would. We could if we would. Make America's nonviolence magnificent. From the Super Bowl to one Super Soul that would and should be us, together. Thank God. I am now a member of the Greater Kansas City Crime Stoppers, and having the opportunity to be a part of that board. Some may be surprised at how diligently we try to be a part of, rather than apart from, high-impact communities. It is not cliche-ish or trivial to suggest that we would love for the reduction in violent crime, particularly homicide, to render us unnecessary. I am neither ashamed nor reluctant to say here that my remarks towards Cody Island and other law enforcers are sincere. I also am not ashamed to accept this as God's timing to explain the need and seize upon the opportunity to help law enforcement to better understand our community. But sincerely, this to Cody Allen and family. Dear law enforcers, thank you for doing what most of us would not, could not, and therefore should not do. Thank you for putting on the uniform that is disdained by the same people who criticize you for taking too long to rescue them. Thank you for never being off duty. Thank you for understanding our misunderstanding when we expect you to be judge and jury, as we wonder why someone you arrested yesterday is back on the street today, never appreciating that you are wondering the very same thing. Thank you for protecting communities where you do not live, for protecting people whom you do not know, for protecting laws with which you may disagree, and for protecting property that you do not own, mere objects that will never have the humanity to show gratitude for your courage and sacrifice. You often know what needs to be done, but are constrained by red tape, victimized by white lies, and put into a gray mood as you see others black out to the fact that your alert level is forever orange. Thank you for remaining, in spite of all, true blue. And I had the opportunity to offer that in 2015 as I was receiving the quote, the Alvin Brooks Award for attempting to develop relationships between law enforcement and the community. So now it is that as I consider God allowing me to write down some of the thoughts, and even from time to time, there are those who embrace or understand what I am trying to say. When I say God's timing, what I am looking at in today's world, but more particularly in Kansas City's world, that somehow Lisa Lopez Galvin, an Hispanic representative of the community, along with Caucasian Cody Allen, and considering African American Drexel Mack, not ever thinking in that celebration at Union Station that Lisa Lopez Galvin or family would ever have anticipated things ending in the way that they did, nor these two gentlemen in the line of duty, process servers, law officer, that somehow God put it together for good. That none of us, in considering what went on, took a moment or any time to say, look, this person is of this origin, this person is of this neighborhood, this person is of this community. No, we came together because somebody was victimized by violent crime and we need to pay attention to violent crime. And why is it that I am suggesting on this day, March 16th, 2024, that it is important for this particular program to talk about God's timing is always worth the wait, and using the word weight to mean the burden, the heaviness, that weight. And because of that weight, we should not wait to come together and do everything that we can to work towards the reduction of violent crime. Now, some of the nuance, the peculiarities, if you will, of addressing entire communities from where I come from, having grown up on the south side of Chicago in the Ida B. Wells housing projects from 1942 until moving to Kansas City at the age of 38 in 1980. What it means to look at the landscape and have to pay attention to more than one aspect. I do not have the music that goes with it, but please understand the words. When I offer, I am not a snitch, I am a witness. And the reason for my offering in the context of God's timing at this particular moment is because there are people who don't always understand the intent of what one says, offering whatever words they might offer. So I said, from the Super Bowl to one super soul, I am not Natasha Rhea, poet, or Glenn North. I'm not Tech Nine. I cannot claim to know from the depths of a book by Kenneth Rayford about his experiences on a side of the law that now sees him talking to young people about turning their lives around for good. I am not Anthony Butler, whose VIP movement and that standing for uh, violence I prevent. And oh, what he is doing is so important. And as a matter of fact, I don't think that we can ever properly measure the impact of his work because how do you count the crimes that you prevented? But I appreciate what he is doing. I am none of those individuals, but in the way that God has given me, let me first say and then say why in this context. I would offer a cappella, I am not a snitch, I am a witness. In that, I say it this way, no more silence. I need you to get this. I am not a snitch. I am a witness. No more silence. I need you to get this. I am not a snitch. I am a witness. I'm 70 years black, going on 71, looking for ways to pass my baton. From things I've been hearing, I can think of one way as I look back in the day. It's to pass down a distinction. I do hope you get this distinction between a snitch and a witness. My recollection of back in the day is if you messed up, you just had to pay. I know ex-inmates who've turned around after paying for the mess that took them down. Now they help others, their lives on the rise, pressing towards the high calling prize. Would you rather have a rep or would you rather be wise before another child dies? Open your eyes, hear your ancestors' cries. Stop living the lies of media hype, negative stereotype. Too many tears to wipe. We gotta change our stripes. It's not a black thing to claim to have courage by causing violence among us to flourish. I can remember when being black meant considering ourselves all in the same tent. I could take you back to when I was attacked just for being black. That's a fact, Jack, but one thing that was always good, we always felt safe in our own neighborhood. Togetherness was pretty much understood. Black on black meant protecting each other. We were sisters and brothers of each other's mothers, sharing what we had one with another. Black on black was less about color than a culture of unity. Now, black on black crime is a crime, destroying our own community. Some say that you are afraid to snitch. You might end up on somebody's hit list. Well, it's past due time for our minds to switch to knowing a snitch from a witness. If you and I commit a crime together, equally guilty, birds of a feather, and I tell on you to make my life better, I'm a snitch by any litmus. But if you should murder one of my own whom I claim to love and now they're gone, when I tell on you for what you've done, I'm not a snitch, I'm a witness. So no more silence. Need you to get this, I am not a snitch. I am a witness. Ever hear the expression, I'll drop a dime, or don't do the crime if you can't do the time? What you may not have heard is we love you, we need you. We know what violence inevitably leads to. Brothers with potential becoming extinct. Children learning violence before learning to think. Families as victims by death, too abrupt, then twice victims when we don't speak up. It's dangerous to talk, more dangerous not to. I'm saying what I'm saying because God says I've got to. 70 years black saying what must be said. God's too powerful for me to be afraid. Wouldn't be talking without walking with Christ. So again, as I end, let me say this twice. No more silence. I need you to get this. I am not a snitch. I am a witness. No more silence. Need you to get this. I am not a snitch. I'm a witness. And even as I recite, there are people whom I know in my own community who suggest that snitches end up in ditches. There are those who are disappointed that a brother from the south side of Chicago who grew up with AC Deadeye, Pig Eye, and Fat Louie would suggest cooperation with those who enforce law against those of us who grew up in that era sometimes thinking of it as an era, ERROR. But there is a time when the imperative is that we all come together. And yes, once again, in my working with Crime Stoppers, in KC Common Good, working with law enforcement and the community, coming together with someone like Pat Clark, who has no reluctance whatsoever to speak about the need for us to get real in our own communities, and join him in the streets with Rosalind Temple doing what she can with Mothers in Charge. There's a point at which we can see fit to come together even as we have differences for, indeed, Reverend Darren Faulkner, the common good. And so it is. This is the dedication. These are the words for this half of today's program, and as a matter of fact, allows me to do the theme song 1/2 hour in, and then coming back after playing the theme song, 2 remarks for the program that this day is indeed Wave Your Grades. The name of the program, God's Timing is Always Worth the Wait. But for Drexel Mack, this is a person who is or was a process server, but indeed is in the process, even in death, of serving us with his memory. This is Wave Your Grades. We dedicate the program to veterans, and to this gentleman, a veteran of the United States Navy, I am proud to play our theme song, Wave Your Grades, in his honor on our program, Wave Your Grades.
Wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Thank you so very much. Thanks to our listeners. I want to repeat, neither I, Carl Boyd, nor the station or any of its personnel at KUAW can accept any donations, monetary or material, motivated by these remarks. As I said earlier, certainly you may not be so motivated, but seriously, if you should be, remember, neither I, Carl Boyd, nor this station, and as a matter of fact, DeQuay Wilson had a discussion with Louis George Walker earlier, so he knows that I am saying that, have the utmost respect for Louis George Walker, founder, KUAW, KUAW.org. And my prayer is that this might help in some way to continue to bring us together. And so, that part of the program will be edited and presented in some venues as a continuation of supporting, not just paying tribute, but prayerfully bringing a community together to reduce the violence, as we continue to say, as we get tired of saying, but must continue. So that is that presentation. Thank you for the timing of it. Any Brother Louis George Walker, as a matter of fact, good you are back in the room. In the remarks that I made, I offered the disclaimer about which ye spoke. I don't mind repeating it again. So this is what I said.
Okay.
Neither I, Carl Boyd, nor this station or any of its personnel at KUAW can accept any donations, monetary or material, motivated by these remarks, just in case. They may not be motivated, but...
Absolutely, and I'd say that as any funds are raised, we want them to go directly to helping those in need.
Yes, sir.
With no cloudiness. We want it to be clear.
Yes, sir.
So I think we had talked about using one of the established organizations.
Yes, sir.
That take funds in that would be able to handle it, so that anybody that feels that they want to give, they want to support something like this, then we'd want to do it through either the United Way,
exactly,
or some organization that can set that up and handle the funds, and we can make sure that they get where they're supposed to go.
And why the reason you're so important to me is because I'm speaking in behalf of Wave Your Grades. You're speaking in behalf of KUAW
Radio, yes.
And there are any number of entities who want to use or be involved with. And as you said, United Way, I did the remarks initially for KC Common Good, and you have heard, and all of us have heard since the unfortunate events at the Super Bowl rally, the involvement of the Kansas City Chiefs, and inasmuch as they're supporting the families, you could definitely go directly to them.
Absolutely. And we would like to, as KUAW Radio, we would like to hear from any of those organizations that are helping out
Yes.
people that were involved, or families, or the victims of
Yes,
this
sir.
violence. And let us know how we can contact or how we can help direct
Good point.
the giving so that it is going to the people that deserve it.
Yes, sir. And it's very important what you just said, because it is no doubt that we should honor, we should pay tribute, we support the families of victims who were unfortunately killed. Super Bowl, and then in Independence, the process serving the officer. But it is also imperative that we should not forget those 22 victims injured,
Absolutely.
whose names we don't know. But as we follow up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, I think that the prosecuting office, the police department would have a lot of that information.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
we
sir.
need to gather those names, those people, because I don't know, people were taken to the hospital. I
Yes, sir.
heard on the news yesterday of
Yes, sir.
someone out in Kansas somewhere where the family, they've gone back home. So
Yeah.
hopefully that their names were given to the authorities,
Yes.
and that way we could work with that to see, because there are people that are hurt from this that didn't get a bullet wound.
Thank you. Ooh.
That
Say it.
didn't get, there's
Thank
families,
you.
there's little kids that are
Thank you.
having sleepless nights
Yes, sir.
that, or don't want to be around crowds.
That's it.
They didn't get hurt, but they were traumatized.
Yes, sir.
In there. So there are a lot of victims, and that's in any violent act or any loss of life. It's not just the immediate people that you would think about, but there is that collateral damage,
Yes,
as they
sir.
like to say,
Yes, sir.
of people that are family members or close friends or schoolmates. It's just, it's a ripple effect.
And I'll tell you what that suggests to me. It would be well to do at least one program, perhaps a few, featuring as guests some of those who are impacted by and in what ways, and those who are in the field of psychiatry and psychology who can help us to understand just being in a crowd and all of a sudden everybody's running and you get trampled or something happens and you're not understanding. So go ahead, please.
And that mental health need is needed by a lot of students, a lot of family members.
Man. Thank you.
I think we will set up a show to talk about that, the mental health aspects
Yes, sir.
of being caught in a crowd that goes through something like that, because that's you think about it.
Yes,
I
sir.
wasn't even that. We were down at the parade, but I wasn't even that close to it.
I didn't even
but,
realize that.
But you think, boy, I'd hate to be
Yes, sir.
involved in that. It's not a mass thing where there's so much fright, so much uncertainty, and all that going on for people that are uninitiated. Now those in
Yeah.
the service or something may be used to that, but for the average
point.
person that just went to have a good time,
Yes, indeed.
it's traumatic. And not everybody is going to get funds out of this or
Thank you.
even deserve it of funds out of this, but they
Right.
may need some mental health, some coping with that. You may need to talk to somebody.
And let me tell you what you make me mindful of. DeQuay Wilson, our producer and engineer, announcer, co-host of Wave Your Grades. Carl Boyd, host of Wave Your Grades. Think in terms of how we might do, quote, a program. But Louis George Walker is the founder. He is the president. He's the CEO of KUAW. And while we have you in studio, I can ask of you the different programs, the different ways that KUAW can help in matters like this beyond waive your grades.
Oh, absolutely. Already on hand, and I would have to talk with them, but we have Cognitions, which is a show that's ran by one of the mental health professionals here
There
in
you
Kansas
go.
City. He talks about relationships and things like that, but he is a practicing clinician, so
Yes, sir.
it would be good to see if we could get him in on one of these shows and also on his show,
Yes, sir.
so
Yes,
that the
sir.
different audiences would hear
Yes.
what was going on, and that KUAW could play at different times to just bring that, how do we deal with trauma?
My Lord.
And he's probably already done something. He wrote a book around here. I think I took it home.
Oh, good.
But it might already have some trauma things in there. But that's something dealing with the trauma.
Yes, indeed.
And the after effects of a traumatic event like that is something that, unfortunately, in this day and age, we get too much practice on it.
Believe me.
You know.
And as a matter of fact, once again, want to take advantage of your presence. Please let our listeners and viewers know how to access programming on KUAW.
All right. Yes, you're listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station.
Yes.
We're heard all around the world on many different devices, many different airways. You can pick us up on the FM side at 100.5 KOJH. Not all of our, but a lot of our talk shows are being broadcast on KOJH, Kansas City's original jazz house. But online, you can pick us up on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Twitch. KUAW Radio on Facebook, KUAW Space Radio on YouTube, and KUAW underscore radio on Twitter. So there's a lot of different ways that we're out there. Also, if you have a smart speaker like a Google or Amazon, one of those, just tell it to play KUAW Radio and you'll hear us. You can pick us up on Roku. You can pick us up on the Apple and online.
Yes,
so it's a lot of different ways to pick us up. You can get our audio broadcast, which is on 24/7 on the TuneIn app. If you have a TuneIn app on your phone, or if you want to download it, it's absolutely free. On Get Me Radio, on My Online Radio Bot, and on My Tuner. You can also go to Radio Garden and pick it up. And there's a list of these that you can actually push to if you go to KUAW.org. KUAW.org, that's our webpage that we are in the process of redesigning. Thanks to one of our generous benefactors that we were able to get the funds
Fantastic.
to redesign our webpage. So we're going to announce when that new thing comes up. It should be here before summer. But KUAW.org is going to have a whole nother look. If you want to see what Cowboy looks like, we may even get DeQuay and you can see, put some faces to the voices that you're hearing. We're going to have little bios and things like that of it. But we're going to have a new website out there for the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, which is the parent of KUAW Radio. KUAW Radio is the media arm of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. So thank you for listening. Continue to listen to KUAW Radio for news and good talk like you're getting right now. Check us out.
Now, this is going to, Brother Louis George Walker just got himself in trouble and he doesn't even know how. So he is so busy that he might have to leave early because you get pizza for the youngsters and all of those kinds. But with your mention of the things that are going on from a technological standpoint, the reason I say you got yourself in trouble is because I have a litany of questions now. I'll try to sum them up in a sense. One way, saying that 2 decades ago, we were talking very seriously about, quote, the digital divide, unquote. And we were talking about the need for us to pursue with more vigor the opportunity for young people in our community to be more technologically astute. So I'll just put it in one question to Louis George Walker. Where are we now and how are we doing?
Well, I tell you, it definitely is a different look of the digital divide, but there is still a digital divide because you still have the haves and the have-nots.
Wow.
When it comes to it. We've advanced in a certain degree. Most people have access to the World Wide Web.
Yes, sir.
Either through their phones or a tablet or something like that. Everybody doesn't have high-speed access.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't have the access with the power that they need to do all that is being done. The cell phone works really good, but it's really hard to do a good design
Yes,
on the
sir.
web, on the cell phone. Tablets, all of those are good, but they don't replace having a good laptop, having a desktop computer where you can really work. More people now use a laptop than they use a desktop. But still, there are kids that come in here. We have kids, because I usually ask, can you work on this problem at home? We're building robots. We're learning about working on the robots. I said, when you go home, can you work on this? And you'd be surprised how many say, well, no, we don't have a
Okay,
computer
I'm
at
glad you
home.
said that. Because
So they still don't have
glad
one.
you said that.
And that's just having a computer. Then the second thing would be, if you don't have a computer, then do you have high-speed internet?
Well, now, see, this is interesting to me, DeQuay, because he said that our likeness might appear. DeQuay Wilson on this new designed website, or Carl Boyd. So I want to find out where artificial intelligence is concerned. How artificial is it?
Well, now, when you speak about that, and that's why the digital divide, it's a moving target.
Yes, sir.
Because you don't always have it one way. Like you say, we want to have the speed. We want to have the computing power. Then we always have had to want to deal with the knowledge to be able to use it.
Yes,
to be
sir.
able to write code, to be able to create programs and apps and all of that. And that's even changing there, because where it was really important to write code, now with AI, some of the code can be written. You tell the AI that you want this code,
Yes, sir.
and it's going to write it.
Yes, sir.
So you've got people that are working in coding, but they're worried about their jobs.
And see, I'm going to
Because
have.
AI would be able to do a lot of the coding and some of the simple stuff or the repetitive stuff. But with AI, you also have the ability, I've been playing around with it, have fun with pictures, and stuff. You tell it to draw
That's what I'm
a
talking
cat
about,
with a
too.
dog's body, and it'll draw you a cat with a dog's body. May not look like you thought it was going to look, but
Right.
it makes an attempt. And then sometimes you're surprised. You look and say, that's what that would look like and stuff. So, and we need to stay up on that, because for good or bad, they talk about the fakes and people can artificially do
Yes.
this, that, and other.
Yes.
It's just like they're hacking into our pharmacies and stuff now. There's bad stuff can
Yes,
happen
sir.
with technology,
Yes,
as
sir.
well as good stuff that can
Okay.
happen with technology. There was a time when I was coming up that only Dick Tracy had a watch that you could talk to somebody and see their
Yes.
picture on it. And that was like, oh man, that's going to be way in the future.
Way in
well,
the
now
future.
you can talk to people, see their pictures, they're moving around all around the world.
Yes, indeed.
And people think nothing of it.
You
So
can.
with the good or with the bad that you talk about technology, there's good. You can see your grandbaby or something like that if they're over in Tokyo
Right.
doing a slide. And it's just like, oh yeah, let's call and do it. You're not like, ooh, wow. We used to be amazed about what a computer could do
Yes.
that you just brought back.
Yes.
Now we mad because it don't do it faster.
Yeah, and
It's taking too long.
And let me tell you that it used to take at least 8 months to a year in this way. We grew up, Louis George Walker and I, on the Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, so how often did the Encyclopedia Britannica come out? So
and you were big stuff when you had the Encyclopedia Britannica. We had the World Book.
there you go.
The World Book was the Chevy. The Encyclopedia Britannica was the Cadillac. And stuff. You go to somebody's house, they had the Britannica. You say, oh
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They could really write a report.
But when you had to get a store of information, you had to wait until the next edition comes out. So you're waiting a whole year for what now you can get in 6 minutes
Or less.
or less.
Yes.
And can you imagine that there are people who are upset when it does take that long? And they're looking now for the new. When you said, Brother Walker, some are not fast enough.
Right.
So I'm saying, well, how fast do you need it?
Yes, yes. Yes, if you got a picture, if somebody said they could send you a picture and you get it in 2 minutes or something, 10, 15 years ago, you would think, oh, well, that's great. Now, if it taking 2 minutes for the picture to go, man, this thing is broke.
We live in a world of instant gratification right now.
Absolutely.
Everything has to be absolutely right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I want it right now. It's mine, and I want it right now.
Yes.
You said I could have it. I want it right now.
Yes, yes.
But in reciprocation, you want it right now, so we got to get it to you right now. Everything is right now. Everything is so fast. Everything is right now.
Yes, because taking the thing now, the big thing they have is on these jobs where they say, well, you go to work and you get paid today. I'm like, what?
Yes, sir.
My mind.
Yes,
How
sir.
do you because I think about debt when I think about that. I think about how do you really maintain if you're getting paid on a daily basis. You've got to be a strong
Wow.
saver to be able to make sure you can maintain any sort of lifestyle, even if it's a low lifestyle. You
Yes.
get paid daily, and I get the need for it because some people are. You might need gas to get to work or what have you, but I thought about that and oh my goodness, that's scary.
If you don't manage your money,
Yes.
you're going to be in
And you
problem
see-
come the time that the bills due at the
Yeah.
end of the month, and you've been spending money
But
every
every
day.
day, yeah.
And you see, some of the things that caused Wanda and me while we were sitting together to utter the phrase, I'm too old for this stuff. One of the things that causes us to think in terms of that is high technology, low interpersonal contact. Because it isn't like you're going to wait until you're face to face with somebody to have a question answered and you can have a conversation. Then, okay, it's going to take me 12 minutes to get from here to their office. Then you get to the office and someone says, have a seat, and Mr. Walker will be with you in a moment, when he has already had 7 conversations from the time I got in the car to go over because I want to see him in person. Technology
That's
defies a lot of that.
So it's a changing world, and we
Yes,
all
sir.
have to deal with it. And the young people have got to deal with it as much, and even the older people.
You know, and imagine,
Stress on different generations.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Duke, I didn't hear.
That's a different type of stress for a different generation.
Yes. And it is unfortunately sometimes when I think now about being a teacher, well, if I were to substitute down, and many people have talked about March 3rd was my 82nd birthday. Okay, so I substitute in a school now. I was teaching in 1964 when I wanted to hear back from my student. So when we talked about the Socratic teaching method, that meant holding a conversation. Who would have thought that I had to consider virtual, hybrid, in person, these different forms of... I only know in person. That's the only way I want to do this. But everybody has to grow in it, and it is frustrating oftentimes for more than just the student. So here we are with a closing of the digital divide at KUAW.org. The new website will bring us closer and faster together. And the reason I mentioned AI is because a young lady was corresponding with me in Atlanta, and she wanted to show me a presentation. And she was excellent, except that at the end of the presentation, she said, Uncle Carl, that really looked like me, didn't it? And it was artificial. How do you do that, Louis George Walker? You have something that is the likeness
That's
of.
one I want to play with now, son. But yeah, there's so many. If you type in AI now, and a lot of it's free because they want to get you hooked on it and stuff, and it'll cost later. But they'll let you do, I guess, put your likeness in.
Yes.
I wanted to do a logo or something of BFTAA. So I
Okay.
said, or KUAW Radio. I said, give me a logo of KUAW Radio with an Afrocentric motif. And it came up with 6 or 7 different designs.
Yes, sir.
Just like
Absolutely.
that. And a couple of them I've been posting up. Look good, you know. But it to take your face and do something, yeah, it's not beyond AI from being able to do it, because I've been looking into movie making with AI.
Wow.
And
See?
you tell it the story you want, and then it creates it.
That's amazing. Well, as a matter of fact, thank you so much for coming in.
And we will have some of that, some demonstrations of AI that, hey, you might see it behind Carl in the screen now, where you see KUAW.org. We may run a little AI presentation across there one week.
Something to look forward to.
There you go.
Appreciate you so much. And as a matter of fact, the first half hour of the program was the recording of the presentation in tribute. And we'll go back to the editing of that and making that available. Therefore, that tribute, those tributes plus the theme song represented my Carl's commentary. So let me give it back to DeQuay as she introduces my daily message.
Once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us on your Stutes for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. at Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, our host, Carl Boyd, will close with his Carl's commentary on academic patriotism and his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
Thank you so very, very much. Today's commentary is thank you so very, very much. And certainly thank you to Louis George Walker for coming in and offering that information, not only about technology, but also helping our listeners to understand how important it is to do donations and contributions to those entities, and we'll give you information outside of where we are and the importance of that. To students across the USA, your Students for Boots message for this day, March 16th. They carry you on their backs so you can carry us on your brains. Carl Boyd, gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.